Hey guys, Bowsergrins here. I'm going to do a quick review of a couple of the tier set bonuses. We're going to be touching on Guardian Druid, because I play that quite a bit, and I'm also going to be touching on Blood DK as well, because that's more or less been my main for 12 years. I've only really started playing Guardian Druid in Shadowlands for the most part because of how broken it's been. But we're going to go over both of these real quick to talk about the tier set bonuses, the 2 set, the 4 set, and what this can mean for the meta in 9.2. And you'll see from this video, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. Alright, so let's jump right into it. The 2 set bonus for Guardian Druid. Casting Barkskin causes you to Berserk for 4 seconds. This is actually, I think, an incomplete explanation of the power, because it doesn't say Incarnation or Berserk like the Feral one does up here. It's very weird, but I think that that'll be fixed quickly. Because it wouldn't make any sense for the whole tier set bonus to not work with Incarn, because Incarn replaces Berserk. So you're going to hear me reference Incarn in place of the word Berserk here, just because I assume it's going to work with that one as well. If it doesn't, it's totally troll. Blizzard sucks, and we hate them forever. So really interesting about the tier set bonus for the 2 set. If you go down here, you can actually see we have a way of reducing the cooldown of Barkskin even further through Survival of the Fittest. This is generally not a talent that people take. Earth Warden is considered more or less mandatory for Guardian Druid, and that's true for most raid encounters and pretty much all of Mythic Plus, because it's reducing auto attack damage, which is most of the time the majority of damage you're going to be taking, especially from bosses. But even with trash, I mean, the melee damage comes through. It only stacks up to 3 times, so it's not as amazing as you think it is, but it's still amazing. So I don't think people are going to be running the Survival of the Fittest. I've heard a couple of people talking about the possibility that Survival of the Fittest is going to be meta after this tier set bonus. I don't think so. I think you're still going to be running to Earth Warden. You're just going to benefit from a spike of Incarn every roughly 46 seconds when you cast your Barkskin, which in itself is really cool. And it also fills a really cool niche, because you're really powerful inside of your Incarn, then you pop out of your Incarn and you're kind of poo until that 3-minute cooldown is back up. This is going to give you a little bit of a power spike in between those periods. The 4 set bonus here, Architect's Aligner. While Berserked, you radiate 45% of attack power through cosmic damage. Cosmic damage is weird. Never seen that before. To nearby enemies, and heal yourself for 61% of attack power every 1 second. This is obviously just like insane. We'll see where the numbers are. I mean, you can't really pay attention to the numbers because this is like data mined from something that isn't even out on the PTR yet, and you know, I'm assuming that Blizzard wants to balance things at least a little bit. So if this comes out and Guardian Druid's doing like 40% more damage than everyone else over the course of a Mythic Plus dungeon, you're probably going to see this AoE damage either soft capped, so it's like to 5 nearby enemies dealing reduced damage beyond that, or something along those lines, if this is too insane. But radiating damage while you're berserking or incarning is completely crazy, because you're already doing so much damage there. And if you think about it, a lot of people are going to be switching to Venthyr Guardian Druid in 9.2, because the double Lego is going to benefit Venthyr by a huge amount. It's going to increase the duration of your frenzy. It's going to give you crit from the conduit, obviously, which you already have without the Lego. The Lego really just only increases the duration. But you're going to be stacking it up higher and higher because of the increased duration, and getting more and more crit, more and more haste, more and more damage. If you're also able to radiate cosmic damage from that, I think it's actually just going to like break the game. You're going to pull like half the dungeon and do 100k DPS. It's going to be totally insane. So don't pay attention to the numbers necessarily, but we know for sure just from this wording, it looks like their approach to this is to give you some sort of like Brambles type effect, like active Barkskin type effect from your Incarnate Berserk. So that's pretty cool. The fact that it heals, I mean, you could actually, just because of how ridiculously broken the absorption shield is from Ursoc Sphere, you remember it is, you could take this healing aspect out of it completely and you'd still be broken, right? But what they might be trying to do here is giving you a heal during your incarn to make it to where people might consider the possibility of not running Ursoc's Fury Remembered, because you're still going to heal for quite a bit, right? I don't think that'll happen. Like, nobody's going to run off that legendary in Mythic Plus especially. But you could definitely, Ursoc's Fury Remembered is certainly not being played as much in raiding, so this part of it's pretty cool in raiding, the raiding part of it. But this is all going to be overhealing for Bear Druid in Mythic Plus. Like, very little of this actual healing is going to make it through to you, because you're just going to be endlessly capped on your absorption. So really cool set there for the Guardian Druid. Let's move over to the Blood DK. First, I want to say, I saw the Frost DK and the Unholy DK tier sets first. They were linked to me specifically, and I couldn't see the Blood DK one. And I got nervous right off the bat, right? Because the Frost DK one looks really boring. 8% crit on Remorseless, it just seemed really boring, and like the Glacial Advance through the target. That's okay, but it could have been way better. The Unholy thing, it seems super insane. If this stays like more or less the same from what we see here to the actual live version of the game when 9.2 is released, the execute phase for Unholy DK, which was already kind of crazy, is, yikes. This is going to be huge. So it was a hit or miss type of dynamic. So I went into I loaded up this page expecting possibly the worst. And I was pleasantly surprised. This is, Blood DK, I think, is probably getting the best 2-set bonus of any of the tank specs. You look back at the Guardian one, casting Barks can cause you to berserk for 4 seconds. That's really good. And there's other good 2-set bonuses in all the tank ones if you guys want to take a look at those. But Blood DK's, I think, is the best. And it's because it's really accentuating a lot of the power associated with the Dancing Weapon ability. So let's just go over here. Hard Strike increases your strength by 1%, and the duration of Dancing Weapon by 0.5 seconds, persisting for 10 seconds after Dancing Weapon ends. It's a little weird how this is worded, but if you look at it closely, what they're talking about in terms of it persisting for 10 seconds is a strength increase. It's just the wording's a little weird here, because they talk about the strength at the first half of the sentence, and then they talk about the duration increase, and then they say that's, it seems like they're insinuating that both things persist for 10 seconds, and it's like, how the heck would duration of Dancing Weapon increase persist for 10 seconds? It's weirdly worded. I'm sure they'll try to suss this out later. I'm sure it just means the strength increase is persisting. And that's really, that's really cool, because Hard Strike increasing your strength by 1% during the duration, and also increasing the duration, which is a really important matter when you're talking about the potential of this tier set. You could potentially get 4, 5, 6 additional seconds out of your Dancing Weapon over its full duration. Increasing its duration to 15, 16, 17, possibly up to 20 seconds. I don't think you'll see 20 seconds, but you could during Lust. You know what I mean? Or if someone PIs you, they wouldn't PI you, but if they did just for the memes, you could definitely see 20-second duration Dancing Weapons. And considering most Blood DKs right now are running Crimson Rune Weapon, there's certainly some play with Super Strain, but a lot of Blood DKs are playing the Crimson Rune Weapon for the cooldown reduction and mana rune regeneration after the duration ends, right? So generally with that, especially in AoE pulls, you can drop the cooldown of Dancing Weapon below a minute. Typically ends up around 45 seconds or so, but certainly less than a minute. Even during bossing, it tends to be less than a minute, right? So if you get an uptime of 20 seconds and your cooldown is 45, you're talking about a near 50% uptime on your Dancing Rune Weapon. Which is crazy, because after it ends, you also get that rune regeneration rate. So you may just be like constantly feeling the power of just the 2-set. And then we move on to the 4 set. And the 4 set it's not as crazy as the Guardian one. I mean, this is absolutely crazy to me, but this is still, I mean, if you think about it, if you play it out in your head how this is generally going to work, it really starts to seem crazy. So parrying an attack causes your weapon to lash out, heart striking your attacker. And it also makes it to where your dancing weapon will now summon 2 rune weapons. So there's a couple of questions we need to answer right off the bat that we're not going to be able to until we actually get our hands on this. The first question is, does Heart Strike, when it's cast from your dancing weapon, does it benefit from standing in Death and Decay? I don't think it does. I'm like 95% sure on that, because generally with dancing weapon, if it's doing something, it's kind of doing something on its own. It's not benefiting from other things that you're doing. So, I mean, it's just really just copying the attack. And since it's the dancing weapon doing the Heart Strike and not you channeling it in some way through the dancing weapon, I doubt it's going to hit additional targets when you're stacked on your Death and Decay. But even with hitting 2 targets, this is really powerful because it's happening on every single parry, right? The second question we need answered is when you're summoning a regular dancing weapon, your parry is increased by 40%. A huge spike. I mean, when you pop dancing weapon in a big pull and you're like taking a bunch of melee hits, you know, you feel like a prot warrior. You feel just so resistant to physical damage in that situation. My question is, does this double the parry bonus? Because the wording on the ability is when you cast it, you gain 40% parry. That makes me think that this does not stack. It's just still going to be 40% parry. Because if you think about it, I mean, you'd have to double it. 80% parry, your base is 20, right? That's going to put you at parry cap, to where you're basically invincible to physical damage. And when you run the legendary, being immune to physical damage for, 15 to 20 seconds every 45 seconds seems like the most broken thing in the world. So I don't think that's how it's going to work. However, it doesn't need to work that way. Because you're still going to be at 70+% parry, right? Because you have generally most blood decays, if you're statting correctly, because most blood decays are running haste and versatility, right? You're not stacking crit. But you are stacking strength. Your parry generally sits around 20 to 25%. The variance there being crit. Again, not seeing a lot of blood decay stacking crit. Does that change, however, in 9.2 with this? The jury's still out. There's a tremendous benefit to having versatility's blood decay. Stacking haste and crit would be really weird because you'd be a bit of a glass cannon in your downtime outside of dancing weapon, although it would be certainly a smaller amount of downtime after we get this tier set bonus. Not having much versatility at all would make you quite squishy. You would be very much relying on parry. And blood decays do not like RNG. So, yeah, I don't think that stacking crit's going to be a thing. However, again, it doesn't need to be, because you're going to be at 20%. Let's just say you're at 21% parry, right? And you get 40% from dancing weapon. You're at 60%. All the strength that you get from this is going to be huge. Let's say you're running Night Fae for the memes, right? Let's just say you're living the dream and you want to be a Fae baby, and you're getting even more strength from heart striking in your death stew. I mean, your strength is going to be completely insane. Then you get a Fallen Crusader proc on your weapon. That's another, 15% strength, I believe. 10 or 15% strength. It's been a really long time since I actually looked at that enchant. I mean, your strength is going to be completely out of bounds. Your parry chance is going to be 65% plus. And every single parry, every single one of your parries during dancing weapon, which is going to be up constantly, right? We're talking about a 15 to 20 second cooldown, or a 15 to 20 second duration on a 45 to 60 second cooldown. Every single parry is gonna heart strike. I mean, you're just gonna be seeing like heart strike numbers just flying off your screen in every direction when this thing is up. So I think the damage on this is gonna be completely crazy. The fact that it's 2 rune weapons, and they're both going to be firing off heart strikes when you're parrying, I mean, the damage is probably going to be really good here. I want to see how it actually works. If there's some kind of weird internal cooldown that they bake into this, or, you know, some other shenanigans that Blizzard could potentially do with their weird spaghetti coating, that would be unfortunate. But right now, if they're just going full send, living the dream with this type of power, this could turn out to be a huge game changer for Blood DK on fortified weeks, especially because you're going to actually have something that can really crush fortified packs, which is not necessarily the case right now. So really cool tier sets. I'm really glad that Blizzard did this. Obviously, if you're a Resto Druid today, or a BM Hunter, or a Brewmaster Monk, you're probably feeling a little bit different about your power. There are, I mean, even a Frost DK here, there are certainly powers, tier sets that need a lot of work. Hopefully they give tuning passes. I felt especially bad for Feral Druid. Holy crap, dude. This does not look good. You only get the 4-set bonus on a 3-minute cooldown from Berserk. Granted, I mean, the damage is going to be insane when it does it, but stuff like this, hopefully they improve upon. But if you're a Guardian Druid, or if you're a Blood DK, things are looking great so far. This has been Bowserkins reviewing the Guardian Druid and Blood DK tier sets. I hope you enjoyed it. Check me out at twitch.tv/Bowserkins. I stream there most weeknights when we're doing push keys with the fam. Come check me out there. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.